Hello, I've got my ironing mat laid out in front of me and I've got my strips of pockets that I've cut out. I'm now going to move on to step 3, which is to press over the seam allowance on the top edge of each pocket, strip and stitch. And the way that I do this is I'll take my first strip and place it with the right side facing down, and then I'll fold back that top centimetre. So I just want to fold it back as far as the top of the picture, so it shows up a bit more brightly on the dark colours. It shows up there on the red. You're just folding it back, it's a centimetre, so that all of that white border at the top is folded over. And you can use a nice hot iron because this is 100% cotton. It's a typical quilter's cotton. You can use a nice hot iron, and you're just going to fold and press that over so that from the right side, that's how it looks, and the pictures go right up to the top, and the white border, this bit here, is now pressed to the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold, and then I'm going to stitch, and then I'm going to come back and do the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. The reason why I don't press them all and then stitch them all is just because by the time you get to the last one, some of the pressing kind of starts to come undone. So I press, sew, press, sew, press, sew, so on and so forth. So I'm now ready to sew along the top edge of my folded pocket panel. Now I'm going to line up the folded edge of my pocket panel with the edge of my presser foot there. So I'm not really looking at the lines on my needle plate, I'm just going to line it up with the edge of my foot, and that means that I get slightly under a centimetre. I don't want it to go too deep, this stitch line, because I don't want to interrupt the lovely patterns and the pictures, and I also don't want it to be too near to the top here, because otherwise this folded edge will fold back on itself. So I think by aligning it up with the edge of that foot, that's just about the right amount. I'm using a universal needle and the sew-all thread. Stitch length, I'm going to use 2.6, so anything between 2 to 3 will be fine. If you're not sure, just test on a scrap of fabric first. I'm going to do a few stitches forward and a few stitches back to begin with, just to secure my stitches. And then as I'm sewing, I'm just going to keep my eye here on this line. I'm not going to look at the needle, I'm going to look at the fabric going underneath. And that way, I'm going to keep everything nice and lined up. Sometimes if your fabric bunches up at the back like that, it's just because a little bit of thread has got caught back underneath. So just gently lift the foot with the needle down and just pull it out the back, if that happens to you. So nice, even, straight stitches all the way along the top edge of that pocket. And I'm not tugging on this as it's going through, I'm keeping myself nice and relaxed. Talk about tension on the sewing machine, think about the tension as well in your body. Just sew nice and relaxed. I'm not tugging it here, I'm not tugging it here at all. I'm just letting the machine do all the work. I'm pulling that strip through, and it's lovely and relaxing actually. Got the door open, hear the birds outside, and I'm just sewing nice and slowly. When I get to the end, just do a few more back stitches to secure those stitches, and that's done. There you go. So that's a nice straight line of stitching all the way along the top edge of that pocket. And what I'm going to do is, as I go, you're going to end up with these thread tails at either end. So I'm going to trim them off as I go, and I normally keep a little bowl next to me, or a little saucer or dish, and I just pop any thread tails in there as I go. Or you can sellotape a little plastic bag or something to the edge of your, or paper bag I should say, to the edge of your table, to keep all your thread trimmings in, to keep everything nice and neat. So I've done that, the first one. I'm now going to give that a press and press over the next one, and continue until I've done all of those pocket strips. So I'm going to use my iron whilst I've got everything set up. I'm just going to give the stitching that I've just done a little press just to set those stitches down. And then I'll set that to one side. And I'll do exactly the same process for my next strip of pockets. Folding back the top edge, just that top centimetre, all the way along. Trying to keep it as straight as I can. Hold the iron in place just to keep it secured and folded. And then back over to the sewing machine. Repeat the same process, stitching along the top. And then I'm going to do that for each of my pocket strips.